I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, December the 11th, 2015. Several terror attacks were prevented today in the West Bank. A Palestinian driver tried to run over IDF soldiers near Hebron this afternoon, but other soldiers who spotted the car racing towards the checkpoint of the Khalkhul junction shot at the car and the driver was killed, preventing any injury to the troops. The IDF said a large knife was also found on the terrorist's body. He was identified as 55-year-old Issa Harub from a nearby village. Earlier today, a Palestinian opened fire at Israelis standing at the Gilboa Crossing. He was shot at in return by an Israeli guard and was apparently wounded and then reportedly picked up by a Palestinian commercial vehicle. Israeli security forces were looking for the terrorist, who is thought to be from somewhere around the city of Jenin. Meanwhile, Israel's Channel 10 reported that Palestinian Authority police may have arrested the shooter. And Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, arrested a Palestinian man suspected of being involved in the vehicular terror attack that occurred last night that injured 4 IDF soldiers. 37-year-old Mehmed Abed El-Khalim Abed El-Hamid Salem was arrested in a joint operation of the Shin Bet, the IDF, and Israel police. He is said to have been affiliated with Hamas and previously served 6 months in an Israeli jail. Jewish groups welcomed the release by the Vatican of a new document this week on Jewish-Catholic relations. The Vatican's Commission for Religious Relations with the Jews announced the document called "The Gifts and the Calling of God Are Irrevocable." It reinforces key pillars of the modern Catholic-Jewish relationship, like affirming that the Catholic Church disapproves of targeted efforts to convert Jews and also takes a stand against anti-Semitism. ADL Director of Interfaith Affairs Rabbi David Fox Sandmel called the document a remarkable reaffirmation of the positive changes in the Church's teaching about Jews and Judaism since the promulgation of Nostra Aetate 50 years ago. However, Sandmel and other Jewish leaders also noted some challenges the document presents. Sandmel said some issues, like the lack of a more positive affirmation of the centrality of the State of Israel for Jews, or the suggestion that Jews can learn from Christianity's universalism, will certainly be topics for our future dialogue. B'nai B'rith International welcomed the important contributions of the document as well, while also referencing the challenges, like the lack of mention of the centrality of Israel in Jewish life. International Director of Interreligious Affairs for the American Jewish Committee, Rabbi David Rosen, while praising the document, also expressed disappointment that it failed to acknowledge the, quote, centrality that the land of Israel plays in the historic and contemporary religious life of the Jewish people, and the groundbreaking role of Nostra Aetate in leading to the diplomatic accord between the Vatican and Israel. Denmark has posthumously honored the Jewish-Israeli security guard who was murdered last year. 37-year-old Dane was standing guard at the central Copenhagen synagogue last February, if you recall, when he was shot and killed by a terrorist who tried to enter the building where a bat mitzvah was taking place. Uzan was voted Dane of the Year this week by readers of a daily newspaper in the country, who held a public competition for the honor. The award was accepted by Uzan's father. Prime Minister Lars Rasmussen, who was at the ceremony, called Uzan a hero. Denmark's ambassador to Israel, Jesper Var, said Dan stands out as an example to all of us with his resolve and self-sacrifice. We must condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. The Jerusalem Post reports that faculty and staff of a number of colleges and universities across the United States have formed a new network in order to fight the efforts of the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement on college campuses. The goal of the Academic Engagement Network is, the group said, quote, to serve as a resource, anticipate, and address anti-Israel and anti-Semitic activities as they arise, counteract the BDS movement, and maintain constructive ties with those on other campuses who are confronting similar challenges. National Advisory Board members of the network include faculty from such universities as Harvard, Tulane, Stanford, Brandeis, Emory, Northwestern, and UC Berkeley, among others. Hillel International will hold its second annual Global Assembly next week. Over 700 staff and leaders will gather in Orlando beginning on Monday for the conference that will focus on such issues as ensuring the full inclusion of students with disabilities on college campuses, as well as topics like Jewish pluralism and Israel engagement. And taking a look now at our programming on JBS tonight for Friday, December the 11th. At 6 o'clock, live Shabbat services are coming up from New York City's Central Synagogue. At 7:30, a Hanukkah concert from the National Yiddish Theater Folksbina. At 8:30, a Friends of the IDF Connecticut event, and at 9, a film on the life and work of Rabbi Avi Weiss called Righteous Rebel. At 10 o'clock, Holocaust survivor and historian Randolph Brahm is presented the 2015 Mensch Award at the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York City. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg lights the 6th Hanukkah candle. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, December the 11th, 2015. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach.